Let's see. Hello. I'm not live. I am too live. Um, Alrighty. Hello and welcome. In today's live, first thing we're talking about is Chef Daniel, Chef Daniel Bronchalo. He is a Spanish chef and he has a YouTube show. Obviously, it's not in English, but he has been arrested for the murder of his lover, um, a doctor. And let me see if I can also bring up this article for you. Let's see. I lost my doohickey. Great. Lost my train of thought and everything. Let's get this going on. I'm going to present the share screen. Here we go. And this is him, Daniel Sancho Bronchalo. And let me make sure that I've got it. Yeah, I do have it on there. And he is the son of two famous Spanish actors, actor and actress. And he was arrested for the murder of his 44-year-old boyfriend in Thailand. His boyfriend is a Colombian surgeon, and Daniel is 29 years old, and he pled guilty to the murder of Edwin Arrieta Ortega, who is 44, and he pled guilty in a Thai court on Monday. And let me see if there's any more pictures on that one. No, I'll go back to the pictures that I was sharing here. Add that back to the stream. There he is, young Daniel, the actor, and chef, and basically he's a hunk, and he murdered his boyfriend of a year due to an argument. And what he states happened is that he and his boyfriend were on vacation in Thailand, that he's been trying to get out of the relationship, and that the boyfriend is controlling and stuff like that. He basically was saying that he was a prisoner of his boyfriend. I don't know whether I believe that or not. But anyway, I couldn't tell because I was translating from Spanish to English, and I'm not so hot on Spanish. But one of the articles was stating that Daniel and the boyfriend got into an argument due to one of them having someone else that they were interested in, possibly Daniel. Anyway, the two of them got into an argument. The 44-year-old boyfriend wanted to have conjugal relations with Daniel, and Daniel wasn't having it. And so Daniel says that they were in the bathroom of this resort hotel room that they were in, and that he shoved his boyfriend, who then hit his head on the tub, and then he came at him and they argued some more, and then and the guy bit Daniel on the hand or something, and it continued to be physical. And then Daniel says that he bashed the guy's head on the tub over and over again. Let me play this some more just so you have something moving here. Anyway, after his boyfriend was dead, Daniel then cut him up into 14 different pieces. There's the boyfriend. I'm going to pause it right here for whoops. Ha 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 ha. Add it back to the stream. That was not pausing it. There he is. That's Dr. Edwin Arrieta. Anyway, Daniel then cut him up into 14 different pieces and dumped the pieces into 7 different locations. Then he reported his boyfriend missing to the Thai police, saying that he went to a full moon party, and that when he got back, his boyfriend was missing. And but that same day, the Thai police had started finding body parts wrapped in plastic at the dump locations. And Daniel quickly ended up confessing, and of course saying that uh, it was a heat of the moment thing, and and that he cut the guy up to try to it hide what happened. But the police are saying that there is more to this. They claim that on the Tuesday before the murder, that's like almost a whole week before the murder, that Daniel had gone and bought knives and cleaning stuff and plastic bags. And Daniel's saying that he purchased those for innocent reasons, and that it wasn't premeditated. I'll be watching the case to find out what's going to happen. He could be facing life or death there in Thailand for this murder of his boyfriend. And I know that he's quite famous due to being the son of famous Spanish actor and actresses, but he also has quite a following of his own because he's good looking and rich and one of the beautiful people, I guess. And also another case that why not just break up? Why do people have to die when their relationships are over? It's just ridiculous to me. And now the next case that we're going to cover is let's see, Oakley Carlson, and I'm going to try to find where I have her picture so that we can talk about Oakley. And I'm just going to bring up her picture on here I'm out of practice using StreamYard, guys. Please bear with me. Let me see. Share this tab instead. Let me see if it's working. Okay, got to bring it up. Here we go. Little Oakley Carlson. I'm sure you guys, what happened? Let me try to figure out what happened with the picture. Okay. I'll just put it up like this. There's Oakley. And in Oakley Carlson's case, we still don't know where she is, what's happened to her. It's pretty obvious that her parents are responsible for what happened to her. She was last seen quite a long time ago, and the case has just gotten uglier because we know now that Oakley was regularly kept in a cell-like room under the stairs in the house by these horrible people that are her biological parents. She had been in a wonderful foster home with loving foster parents, and then the foster care system, Child Protective Services, chose to put her back with her drug abusing parents who were not clean and continued to abuse drugs. And the foster parents kept asking for well-being checks and that kind of thing. Didn't happen in any way. Oakley's mother is Jordan Bowers, and she recently was sentenced to 43 months for identification theft, and she got 12 months of community custody after that. And she's contesting the $26,850.58 restitution that she is supposed to pay in that case. And so she'll be in court for that again, but she is not facing any charges at this point for what happened to Oakley. And we're not going to let Oakley get forgotten. And let's see. And I was also going to mention, okay, I'm going to try to pull this up because I see Martin there, and Martin has a lot of information about Barry being a wanker too. We're going to have Barry as a wanker at the end here. But right now we're going to talk about, let me see if I can get this in here, and let's see. Is there a way to put me in there? No, not like that. Like this. Yeah, there. We're talking about Naomi Irion's case. She's the young woman who was 18 years old, who was kidnapped on March 12th, 2022 from the Walmart parking lot in Fernley, Nevada. She was getting ready to catch the bus, the company bus, to go to the Tesla plant where she worked on making batteries. And she was kidnapped by Troy Driver, a 42-year-old felon. And 2 weeks after she was taken by him, her remains were found in a shallow grave there in Nevada. This is all taking place in Nevada, which is one of the places that I went to this summer when I was out on the road. Anyway, Troy Driver has unalived himself on Sunday, and in some ways that's some sort of justice for Naomi, but it has taken her family's voice away. Her family had been looking forward to the trial, looking forward to getting the chance to confront Troy, to tell him exactly what he had taken from them, from the world, when he took Naomi. And, just some people have asked me, why would Troy have unalived himself, and is it just due to guilt? And I think that it's not just due to guilt. I think it's that's it in part, but that he wouldn't be very well received in prison. He was still in the jail awaiting trial when he did unalive himself, and I think he's a major coward, and that he just couldn't face her family. He wasn't going to listen to the victim impact statements. He that's why he took the coward's way out and robbed them of the chance to confront him and tell him what they thought of him. And another thing that I was going to talk about is share this tab instead. Let's see, is it up there? Yep. Okay. Running back to the case in California, Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton is still covering for the Marines on that base, and there was so much mishandling of the case by police as well. So far, there are no charges filed, where this 14-year-old girl with learning disabilities ended up trafficked to Camp Pendleton, and she was essayed there, and she was on the base for over a week, and she was finally discovered on the base. She's since been returned to her family and is safe, but she suffered, and they're not even the Camp Pendleton's trying to cover it up. The police aren't following up with it. They interviewed the girl without benefit of parents or counsel or anything when she was first found on the base. They're claiming that the Marine is her boyfriend, but her family states that she doesn't even know the Marine's name. Plus, it doesn't matter whether he's the boyfriend, even if he was the boyfriend, which he's not, but even if he was the boyfriend, this is a 14-year-old girl with learning disabilities, and he's an adult Marine. And, it's just horrific. And I hope that there's a lot of pressure there in California against the Marine base and against the local police and everything, so that this kind of thing doesn't happen again, and so that there is justice for this girl and for her family, that the Marine, there needs to be an example made. That's all I have to say about that. And then I had another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about before we got into Barry is a Wanker, and started talking about various other things and getting to chit chat. And that is, let me pull up, I'm just gonna pull up the picture from this case that share this tab instead. And this is Jennifer Crecente and her dad. And something awful has happened in that case as well. First off, something awful happened when Jennifer was killed by her ex-boyfriend. She was a teenager and they had broken up. She was just weeks shy of graduating high school, and this ex-boyfriend got her to go see him, meet up with him in a vacant lot, and he used a shotgun and took her life. Or no, it wasn't a shotgun. It was a different kind of firearm, because it was one that he wouldn't be able to obtain on his own. And so the police and prosecution talked to the dad about whether to allow a plea deal for the boyfriend, where the boyfriend was supposed to serve at least 35 years, or be sentenced to 35 years. The dad was saying that he wanted the guy that provided the firearm to also face charges in this case, because in Texas, where this took place, if you assist in any way, you're responsible as well. Anyway, the guy said yes, that he would testify against the person that supplied him with the firearm in order to have this reduced sentence. And he reneged, after he got his deal. And then the accomplice was up for trial. This guy refused to testify. The accomplice then was not convicted because they had no evidence against him, because this guy didn't testify. And so the accomplice walked free, and this guy got only 35 years. And this dad is heartbroken because now it hasn't been 35 years. The guy's up for parole, and he's just hoping that the parole board listens to the fact that this guy, his word is no good. He reneged on the plea deal, and I'm just hoping that the guy that took her life does not get parole. And now I will move on to the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of this. Here we go. Suzanne Morphew. She is not going to be forgotten by any of us. And Barry, the wanker, the butthole that took her life, is not going to catch a break. And, frankly, I've had to step away from Twitter a little bit, because there are some people that are not getting it still, and are still saying that there's no evidence that Barry took Suzanne's life. There's tons of evidence. I've been doing this whole series of Barry is a Wanker to bring awareness and point out the different pieces of evidence that are public knowledge, and also just different evidence that Barry is a wanker, not just that he killed Suzanne. And is this the right one? Okay. And this is one of the things, is that Barry was saying that Okay, he made the excuse when confronted with, although there wasn't any evidence that he had gone to the area where the bicycle helmet was found. Barry told police that he did go there because he was looking for a big a big elk or deer or something, that he wanted to see where it went because he was going to collect its antlers, or as he was calling them, horns. But everybody knows that those are antlers on deer, elk, etc. Anyhow, it is illegal to collect shed, which is, the antlers, between January 1st and April 30th. This was May, so it would have been legal to do that, but usually the antlers are shed at that point. They're already not on the guys when, so I don't know how he could have seen the things and etc. But what was also bugging me about that is that there is Barry himself admits to a whole bunch of wildlife violations, and he has not been prosecuted for any of these. He has not been charged with any, and I'm wondering, why is he getting a pass on all these other things that he does as well? There's got to be something going on, why people are looking the other way. And so, as I was going to say, if you collect shed at the wrong time of the year or anything like that, it's $137 fine per violation. And that's the act of shed antler hunting, as well as the illegal possession of each shed antler, and those are viewed as separate offenses. The collecting of them is one offense, and the possessing of them is another offense. And we saw that garage. We saw all those antlers in that garage, and he wasn't charged with that. And I'm wondering why, because is it possible for him to prove that all of those were collected during legal time? I doubt it. Anyway, that also gives them a where we go. The act of shed antler hunting, as well as the illegal possession of each shed antler, are now viewed as separate, and that's each shed antler. That's not the full set. That's each antler. And in addition to fines, each violation carries 5 license suspension points that are assessed against the violator's privilege to apply for, purchase, or exercise the benefits conferred by any licenses issued by CPW. If a person accumulates 20 or more license suspension points within a 5-year period, that person could be suspended from hunting and fishing for up to 5 years. In addition, apart from the new shed collection rules, which are new as of 2018, harassing wildlife remains illegal, and CPW officers will cite individuals for violating this existing regulation. Harassing wildlife is a $137 violation that also includes 10 license suspension points. And Barry says that he shoots dart guns out in that alleyway, and he shoots deer, and he takes their horns, and I think that's qualifies as harassing wildlife, don't you? So why is he allowed to do this, crowd? And also, right from the wildlife office, there's this little bit of information. What if I'm doing something unrelated, like hiking, and find an antler? And then their reply is, if you are hiking in an area where there is currently a shed antler and horn collecting closure, and you see an antler or horn, you should leave it alone. There's no way for a CPW officer to differentiate between you and someone who entered the area for the purpose of shed collecting. And, why wasn't Barry at least charged with this stuff and having to fight the antler shed stuff? I don't know. So let me figure out a way to pull that out. And yeah, Barry clearly believes that the law doesn't apply to him. And let me put myself up here. And yeah, hubby mentions that I've been covering Suzanne since she first was reported missing, which is true. And I have had people, including Coffin Duffer, whatever, say that I'm trying to capitalize on Suzanne, that I'm here for financial reasons or whatever, and claiming that I didn't have anything to do with the early days of the search and stuff, which I rather object to, because I was out there looking for Suzanne before it was made public that her bicycle was found, before it was made, before the helmet was found. And, and right from the very start, I'll tell you that the investigation was sketch as can be, that they weren't following protocols that any other missing persons case would be following. And, it just made like zero sense. And then people are still thinking that there was a bike ride. There was no bike ride. Suzanne did not ride that bicycle over to that location. She did not crash and have her bicycle end up in the position that it was in, or the location that it was in. If you yourself went out there, you would see that it's pretty much impossible to crash in that particular location. There's no reason why. Plus, she didn't ride on that road. There's no reason for her to be riding on that road. And there is a barbed wire fence, which I've shown in my videos from way back, that is down there. There's no way to get to the creek from there. And let's see, what is hubby pointing at? He pointed at something on my screen, but I don't know what he was saying. This? No. That? No. Okay, I'm gonna, I don't know what he was indicating. Okay, just a second. I'm gonna mute and pop out. Okay. Yeah, sheep have horns, elk do not. And so yeah, there are special rules for Barry, apparently. And as Martin has pointed out. And yes, Martin, oh my God. There was no reason whatsoever for Barry to be in Broomfield at 8:30 in the morning on Sunday, Mother's Day. First off, there is no construction allowed on the weekends in Broomfield. And for another, he said that he was setting up. You don't really need to set up on the Sunday before. Plus, Iris Eiton says that Barry reserved that room a week or more in advance to Mother's Day. But she also states that Barry was only given the go-ahead to schedule the Broomfield job on the 7th, which is just 3 days before he stayed there. So why did he reserve the room a week in advance if he only knew that he was going to have permission 3 days in advance? And then we get to interviews of the other people that were on that Broomfield job. For example, Morgan states that Barry did have plans for her and him to be in Broomfield on that Sunday, but that they were supposed to go there Sunday night and that he was going to pick her up and they were going to drive together. Then Barry said, "Oh no, that was never the plan. It was never the plan for me to drive her because she smokes, but he's had her in his vehicle a million times. And, he had just driven her and to and from work on Saturday, the day before that. Anyway, it's supposed to be a evening meetup and go there. Cause like, for example, check-in time isn't supposed to be until sometime after 1, and Barry got there in the morning and, tried to get got the room and all that early. So I don't know exactly what days he had reserved either. But when I talked to the hotel, they said that Barry had actually requested the room that he used as well, that he had stayed there before. So that's pretty interesting to me anyway, because it does have a chlorine scent, but it doesn't have it to the extent that Morgan said. So I'm thinking that he was possibly using chlorine in that room for some reason, and that he knew that it would smell and that he thought that would cover it up. And yeah, Morgan said Barry only did 20 minutes of work at the wall site. And, we seen pictures of it. He pulled some of the capstones off the top of the wall, and that doesn't take very long. Plus, you're not supposed to do it on Sunday. Plus, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but the telematics that you and AK have gone over on that also showed that he was not at that wall very long, even though that supposedly is his whole reason for being there. And, looking at the arrest affidavit, checking out the trash locations, hubby and I went there and we went to all the different dumpster locations or parking locations that they cited in the affidavit. We went and looked at them. We looked where the cameras were and such. But what we also noticed is that what didn't appear in there is that there are other dumpsters that are available on those routes and stuff. So they possibly didn't get all of his trash runs. And yeah, I have Broomfield location videos on the channel. We went and checked these things out. We did figure out that what he was disposing of wouldn't have been Suzanne's remains. Knocked over my microphone. I'm getting so wouldn't have been her remains in those locations that were on the arrest affidavit, but could have been any kind of evidence. And apparently they didn't follow through on that and figure out what he did dump. Anyway, another question that I had in my mind is why Barry took, I understand why he took the route that he took. It's a lot quicker to me anyway, and it makes more sense than driving through Colorado Springs. But why did Morgan and Jeff drive through Colorado Springs to go to Broomfield instead of taking the 285? And anyway, I know that there was another wall that they worked on in Colorado Springs, and I went and looked at it too. And it all these walls and things, but anyway, that didn't make much sense either. But apparently Barry called Morgan around. I don't have the notes in front of me, but I did say it in another one of my Barry is a Wanker videos that he called Morgan, and it was probably around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and told her that the job was going to require another worker because already Cassidy Cordova was supposed to be there on Monday to work on this wall job, and Barry and Morgan were supposed to go there on Sunday, but he let Morgan know that he was already there, that she was going to have to drive herself there, and that he needed her to hire someone else to bring with her, and that's when she got Jeff involved, and then they went there too, and meanwhile Barry had left some equipment in the lobby, and then I'm thinking about those rakes and shovels that he left in the lobby and wondering what happened to them, whether they ever got checked out. And Martin says that Barry switched off his telematics between McDonald's and Men's Warehouse, and I've done that route between McDonald's and the Men's Warehouse, and there are other publicly, they're not made for the public, they're for business and stuff, but there are other dumpsters along that route. And and even if he didn't go directly, because there's enough time between that, he could, I don't even want to go into that at the moment, but I will go into it another time that I'm calling Barry a wanker. Because there is tons of evidence, and if people just look at the affidavit, if they just look at his lawsuit, and see that there are lies upon lies upon lies on, from Barry to the cops that were interviewing him, and from Barry's attorney, it's very obvious that this is a cover-up. It's very obvious that he killed Suzanne. And, there is so much misinformation. And yeah, there is a car wash very close by. We saw the car wash as well, and I think it's in one of my videos as well. And there's a lot that he could have done and been doing to cover up the crime, and I think that it has been bungled from the start, and I'm wondering how. And Martin, maybe you can answer this one for me, because just reading the affidavit without going over the telematics, George Davis says that he was called by another volunteer fire guy to tell him that Suzanne's bike had been found. But according to the arrest affidavit, George Davis's testimony is that he was called prior to when the cops actually found the bicycle. So how did George get informed before the police found the bicycle? And then next, he states that he called Barry on the fire radio after he found out about the bicycle, and that's how Barry found out. He didn't find out from the police until after he found out from George, and I guess that's probably to cover whatever reaction he had when talking to police, because of course Barry's gonna want to be able to explain his strange behavior. Anyway, he says that he called Barry after he learned about the bike, and that Barry said that Barry was over by Buena Vista, and I know that it's maybe 45 minutes from Buena Vista to the site, but George is saying that it was 6 o'clock or so when he got in touch with Barry, but Barry didn't arrive to the bike site until like 8:30. So it took him like an hour and a half or so to get there when it's a 45-minute trip. And I was wondering whether the telematics would explain where Barry was when George called him, and where, why it took him so long to get to the bike site. And another thing, while I'm picking Martin's brain about that, I'll also state that if you watch the videos with the body cam footage, you will see that when Barry arrives at the site, he gets out of his truck and he stares to the direction where the bike was found when he says, where is it? Where's the bike? And he's looking right where the bike was found. And how would he know right where the bike was found unless he was the one that put it there? And then George runs up and gives him a hug and, all that puke. And, then the two of them are over there touching the bike. And, the cops touched it without gloves. George and Barry were touching it. I'm conjecturing that George and Barry were touching it in order to explain any fingerprint. But, his fingerprints would have been on it anyway because of it being Suzanne's bike and him saying that he helped take it on and off. And let's see. And then Martin says that Barry left the hotel at 6:20 p.m. and arrived at the bike at about 8:40 p.m. So that would make more sense. And so so then we get to George, and why does George lie in the arrest affidavit then? Because in the arrest affidavit, George says that when he called Barry around 6 something, he said that Barry was in Buena Vista. So, that, I'm wondering what George's role in all of this is. I'm wondering what all of these different guys' roles are in this because of how, for lack of a better word, how wonky this whole thing was. And going back to what was seen at the bike site, guys, that was staged. It was obviously staged. If she was riding and she crashed the bike, it wouldn't have ended up where it was without smashing down the vegetation. Also, it would be pretty difficult to crash in that particular area. And let's see. And Martin says George called Barry at 8:17, which is also different from what George said in the arrest affidavit. So, that's very interesting that all these different people are lying. And, the arrest affidavit states that Macy told law enforcement that Barry and Suzanne were having serious problems in their relationship. But then now in the interviews on, was it Dateline, that, Macy said there's no problem in her parents' relationship. And, it lies after lies after lies after lies. And, even if you don't want to believe the evidence, how can you excuse Barry when there are so many lies taking place, and you can see the evidence of all the lies as well. There is something there. And, Barry's a wanker. And I'm beginning to think that several of the people in his inner circle are also wankers. And don't even get me started on Linda Stanley, the slag who does not do her job and needs to be out of office and is allowing all these criminals to walk free on the streets because she blows the cases. Geez, there's so much. Anyway, I'm going to get going, but I'm going to be live again tomorrow. Oh, wait. Yeah, why did Deputy Brown call Barry from his personal cell phone at 7:10 p.m.? That is, see, that's another one of the things that just is driving me nuts about this case, because the cops have this like close buddy relationship with Barry. The fire department is also, talking behind the scenes on their radios and stuff and talking on the phone, and there's all this stuff going on, but there is so much wrong in this case. And also, some of the testimony that the defense is trying to taint our minds with doesn't make any sense either. For example, where is the photograph of Barry at Moonlight Pizza with Suzanne on Friday night? Because I've seen a photo in the past, but I don't think that it was, and it was purported to be that, but I don't think it was from that time, and now it's mysteriously not available anywhere. And what is the actual proof of life for Suzanne? I want to know so much, because I don't think that she was alive after Friday night. And does anybody have any proof that she was alive after Friday night? And another thing is, yeah, Martin says also 100%, where is that photo? There is so much in this case that is so wrong. There is obviously cover up, involvement of other parties as well as Barry. I don't know why people would cover for him. I don't know what his game is, but there's something going on. And it seems that there are other people involved that will go above and beyond to cover for him for some reason. And Suzanne did not go on a bike ride, and I wish that would get fixed. Everyone knows she did not go on a bike ride that day, and yet it still remains on her NamUs saying that she went on a bike ride and disappeared on a bike ride. That should not even be a part of this. And people get so confused about that. And then I have people telling me over and over again that the dogs that were on scene the day that the bike was found, that the dog signaled that Suzanne rode the bike over there, and then Suzanne went down by the water and was, and that's all BS as well. For one thing, that is not what the dog handler actually said, but then that wasn't allowed in. And do we even know for sure that the cycling shorts that they were provided with for the dog, do we even know that those were Suzanne's cycling shorts? And did they test the shorts to make sure that they were Suzanne's? And yeah, I honestly did think, when I got the news that there was this woman missing, a woman from India, the information that hubby and I were given was that a woman from Indiana had gone cycling there near Fooses, and she had gone missing, hadn't returned from her bike ride. So we went out there with all our gear and everything, because we thought altitude sickness. We thought maybe an accident. We went out to try to help, because we're very familiar with the area, the trails and all that. And so we thought that's what went on. Then we got out there and things didn't seem right. And also we weren't seeing any, we've been on other searches, and it just was not like that. Okay. And then we learned about where the bicycle was, and we got hooked. I mean, because we're looking there, and we're like, no, this this does not make any sense. And then we're hearing that the helmet was found where it was found, and then we're looking at that too, going, okay, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If the bicycle's in this location, why is the helmet in that location? And and all this, and it just right from the start made zero sense. And yeah, and were the shorts washed since May 7th? I don't think so, because the shorts, if you watch the body cam footage, They go into the closet, and Barry points to the floor, and the officer picks it up from the floor. And so she had stuff on the floor, but but there's bedding washed in the laundry room, in the dryer. Why would she not have washed her cycling clothes? And there's so much wrong with Barry's testimony about that weekend as well, guys. For example, Barry says that he can't recall what Suzanne was wearing the last time he saw her. He goes back and forth with a couple different things, and then finally says that the last time he saw her, she was a lump under the blankets in the bed. But then he says that, he doesn't know what she was wearing because she doesn't sleep naked. But the last time he saw her, she was naked because they had just finished making love, but that she also was doing laundry the last time he saw her. Said she was washing the daughter's bedding to get ready for the daughters to come back. Although the daughters were saying that they weren't going to spend the night. They weren't planning on, that was Mallory, the older daughter that lives lived in Gunnison. And she said that she had no plans to be using her room. So that's pretty weird too. And the whole making love is a bunch of too, just like Fluffy Bunny says, because we know that Suzanne loathed Barry and she was done with him at that point, and that she had been making arrangements that week to talk to him. She wanted to hammer out the details of the split, and she was saying that she would still do his books for him post split. And yet then Barry's saying, and as Martin will tell you, Barry wasn't spending the night there at the house, that he was spending the night elsewhere, and he was basically avoiding Suzanne, avoiding talking to her. And then he's like, oh, we had a wonderful time, we were making love, we were sharing a steak using a single plate, and then I wish they would have tested the coffee cup, because it was said that there was a coffee cup on the table, and that Barry on the counter in the kitchen, and that Barry doesn't drink coffee, but Suzanne drinks coffee in the morning. Well, when did she have her last cup of coffee? Because okay, there's a dirty coffee cup. There's also the plate and stuff in the dishwasher, the one set, and the laundry in the laundry room. What the heck? And Martin says Barry said that Mallory and Holly were going to stay, but Mallory and Holly both said that they weren't going to stay. So, I don't know what's up with that. And Fluffy Bunny wants to know, was he avoiding Suzanne so they didn't talk about the divorce? And I think that part of the reason why he was avoiding Suzanne is that he was already avoiding Suzanne. He was already bragging to people in town for months that he didn't spend much time with his wife. And, they basically had separate lives. And, which is one of the reasons why Suzanne said that she wasn't sure about spending any time alone with Barry, because she hadn't been spending any time alone with Barry before this week, and she just wanted to iron things out civilly. She did not like dragging the girls into their arguments and stuff, and which is very good, because that actually is a form of child abuse, to drag your kids into this. And anyway, she didn't want to drag the kids in. Barry admits in the arrest affidavit that he always dragged the kids in when every chance he got. Hey, get a load of what your mother's saying. Your mother's crazy, blah, blah, and all that, trying to get the kids to be against Suzanne. And it appears that he has been successful with that. And that's just, there's so much with that. He admits that he turned the kids against them, because also in the arrest affidavit, he states that if the girls found out that Suzanne had an affair, that they would never speak to her again. And then he says that he told the girls that Suzanne had an affair. And it's just, it's a lot. And, he did not act the part of a grieving husband. And I'm not even going to go into, body language or anything like that. I'm going to go into actions speaking louder than words. Is that, immediately he's already making plans of what to do with money. Within 6 weeks, he sold Suzanne's car, and he didn't sell it locally. He went back to Indiana and sold her car to someone in Indiana. And, he went and got guardianship over her, but he went to Indiana to get guardianship over her instead of doing it in Colorado. And yeah, as my hubby said, he was playing emotional manipulation with his daughters. And let's see. And Laura Richardson said that Suzanne said that she spoke about the financial books for Barry and how that would serve as a bridge between them. And let's see. And, it's just. And then there's the part on Suzanne's, I believe it was Suzanne's birthday, and Barry put up an older picture of Suzanne and wished her on Instagram. And was it Instagram? But anyway, then Suzanne was like mentioning that was an old picture and stuff, and just kind of like, I think she wasn't exactly appreciating the post. I think it was, it was kind of like fake or something on Barry's part. And, there is a lot, guys. And Suzanne was left on her own by Barry out there. And, he shut her out a long time ago. He manipulated her, and he used finances against her. He used the Bible against her. He undermined her around the kids. She basically worshipped her kids, put them on a pedestal, and didn't want to involve them in any of the messiness. And he would drag them in. He would try to turn them against her. She wouldn't play that game. She wasn't gonna try to make them choose between parents or anything. And unfortunately, it's her sweetness and her watching out for the best interests of her kids that has actually allowed Barry to turn the kids against her. And and so it's not surprising that she ended up having an affair with Jeff Libler. It didn't start off as an affair. It started off as a friendship. And she just needed some happiness in her life. She wasn't a happy person at that point in time, and battling cancer, she needed to be happy and have less stress in her life, because and let's see. And Kavita says, dumb question. There is no such thing. But anyway, dumb question. What do you think his real motivation was in killing her? Was there people who got him off and powerful people? And first off, I'll work backwards from there and say that, yes, I think that there are powerful people who have been helping him. I don't know why they are helping him. And then his real motivation, I think his motivation was twofold. Part of it is financial, money. And the other is that I think that Suzanne knew more than he wanted her to know, and he did not want information that Suzanne had to be public. And so the easiest thing would be to kill her. And yeah, Barry says there was no trouble in the marriage, but everyone knew that there was trouble in the marriage. That is another blatant lie, that it was a very obvious lie, which should have set up alarm bells for everyone that Barry was up to something nefarious because of his claim that there was no problem in the marriage when there's plenty of evidence of problems in the marriage. And and Fluffy Bunny says, information about what, Jules? And I would say that the information that Suzanne had on him is probably including some dirty finances. And and there could be other things as well as the dirty finances that involve other people, and maybe even other people's finances and other people's business. And anyway, it was all stuff that she would have found while doing Barry's books. And and so to Barry, the answer to his issues would be to do away with Suzanne, and he thought that he would get away with it. He thought that no one else would care. He thought that people would buy his story. He thought that he committed the perfect crime, and he didn't. And yes, his reputation is extremely important to him. And he's all about image. He's all about finances. And he's not as stupid as people think he is, because he is a dumb guy in some ways, but in other ways he's devious and he's shrewd. And he's very he's a wanker, and he did not want Suzanne to be alive anymore. She was worth a lot more to him dead. And as a grieving widow, he'd be free to be doing his dating. He'd be free to do whatever he wanted with the community assets. And he was already well on his way to brainwashing his kids. So, he had them on his side. He immediately was trying to get Suzanne's dad to agree to giving him control of basically Suzanne's estate, her money and everything. And as my hubby says, Barry thought he was in a small town and he did not expect Suzanne to go global. Yeah. And, he moved, they moved to Chaffee County, and that would be an easier place for him to do away with her than back in Indiana. Because in Indiana, she has ties, she has friends, she has family, and she has people that would be asking questions and would more easily be able to look for her and, all that. But here in Colorado, Suzanne had nobody here. And then Martin mentions that Barry said he told Suzanne that when they got married, it was for life, specifically saying to her, I'm a godly man, and you better make sure that you want me because it's for life. And that is literally what happened. She didn't want him anymore, so he took her life because, she was going to be with him for the rest of her life. And he made sure of it, that her life ended when she didn't want to be with him anymore. And yeah, Fluffy Bunny, that's a good way to explain Barry. Academically dumb, but cunning and devious. He never was on a par with Suzanne as far as intelligence and stuff. I can see, looking back at the pictures and who he was at the time, I can see her being interested in him. And my hubby says, do not underestimate Barry Morphew. And that's for sure. And yeah, people that underestimate Barry, end up not being alive. Suzanne, for one. And Kavita says that my hubby asked, did he think he would get away with a heinous crime, and says that he did. And I would like to say that no, he did not get away with it. He thought he would, but he did not. That hey boy. Anyway, he didn't get away with it. And when we get a different DA, when we get independent investigate, I guess my hubby is nearby because I'm hearing myself in an echo coming through his phone. Anyway, he didn't get away with it. He's going to be charged again. He doesn't know when it's coming. I feel better at night knowing that he is uncomfortable, that he's having to look over his shoulder, and that I'm going to keep being a pain in the butt, talking about him being a wanker. I hope that anytime he tries to Google himself, he's going to see Barry as a wanker. And, the more discomfort he has, the better. I hope that but he's a free man. That's my point. Yeah, in a way, he's a free man, but I hope that he's a free man that's constantly looking over his shoulder. And I hope that, and he can be tried again, hubby says as well. I don't know if you guys can hear him through the microphone or not. He's over there. Anyway, Barry is not going to get a moment's peace. All of us are here for Suzanne, and he's not going to get a moment's peace. I hope that he runs out of money, even though it's Suzanne's money that he's spending. I would rather her money get frittered away because she can't enjoy it, and I don't want him to be able to enjoy it either. And I hope that he is a very unhappy person trying to keep all these balls juggled in the air that he's got going on. And I think that Iris, the witch that he hired, is a POS, and I hope that she gets hers as well, because she has lied in documents. Then there is proof of that as well. And Martin says, Melinda, who is Suzanne's sister, described Barry as one who lives a double life, a liar, an adulterer, a bully, one that has to have control, cunning. He fools people a lot. He loves money and treats his wife and daughters as trophies. Exactly. That's Barry in a nutshell. And once you get to know who the real Barry is, then it's easy to see his motivations, and it gets easier to try to figure out what he has done, and where he would have put Suzanne. And my hubby says people are not going to want to hire him to do landscape work if they Google Barry Morphew and come up with him being a wanker and all this other stuff. Plus, as AK Rock's channel, if you look at that, and he's got some footage of some drone footage of the site where Barry worked the day before Suzanne was reported missing. He was out there with Morgan. Morgan was saying the Barry wanted to make the beach flat, flat, flat. Anyway, you look at that footage and you will see, for one thing, it doesn't look very nice. It's kind of a shoddy job that he did even. And I don't really understand why people kept hiring him, because I've also heard a lot of people testify about how, he would basically, he drove around and worked his Bobcat like somebody that was on speed or something. And, it's kind of a jumble mess, the rock placement and stuff that he did. And he also, at that job site, built a I guess it's called a jetty or something that goes out into the Arkansas River. And I have not checked the loss here in Colorado, but having worked on gold claims and stuff in the past, I know that you're not supposed to change the flow of bodies of water like that. And like, for instance, if you're doing dredge work and stuff, you need to fill your holes back in and all that when you're done. So I don't even know whether he got permits to put that out there. It does interrupt the flow of water. It causes debris to wash up on the property across the river from there, and it's just very questionable. And there's also gravel in that area that looks a lot like the gravel that was seen on the bed of the trailer that carries the Bobcat after Suzanne was reported missing. And we know that cadaver dogs did alert to the gravel on that trailer bed. And hey, Kit. And so it's very interesting that also a dog during Suzanne's brother Andy's search, a dog did alert on that property, but it wasn't followed up on. And there's just so much that wasn't followed up on that makes me wonder why it wasn't. And Martin says you can't alter the water course, and he has found no permit. So yeah, and I'm wondering why they don't tear that up, check it out, etc., since it's not supposed to be there and there's no permit for it. And unless I am wrong, I think that the property that was done to is somehow linked to George Davis as well, Barry's good buddy that is all over this whole case also. And it's just so much that, how do I put this? I at first thought it was ineptitude and idiocy, and now it just seems like the ineptitude and idiocy in this case, both on the case of the investigators and on the part of the district attorney, it seems to cross beyond ineptitude to criminal. Like it's. And Martin says it would give them a good excuse to dig it up, in his opinion. And yeah, I think that it would, and I hope some people, whoever maybe owns the property across the river from it or neighboring properties, I hope somebody complains about that jetty and gets it removed, because then there might be some answers there, if you know what I mean. And let's see. And let's see. Fluffy Bunny's talking to Kavita, saying, I believe that some is obviously conjecture, but what is in the affidavits is classed as evidence in a court of law. Exactly. And that's why I try to base my conjecture. I don't just try. I do base any of my conjectures on the evidence that's, in the public documents, in the public domain. And, they're out there. And some of it is in the actual arrest affidavit, and other stuff, thanks to Barry and Iris, is in the documents that they have filed when they were suing, because Barry's greedy. They were suing a bunch of the investigators. And so that's quite, interesting, because it's also going to open Barry up to being deposed during this whole thing. And that's why Iris then tried to reopen this case and try to get it. She tried to get them to change it into a case that has been dismissed with prejudice so that he wouldn't be able to be tried. But that didn't happen. So anything that he says when he's deposed can be used against him when they open this up again. And let's see. And Sissy is letting us know that George and his wife were involved in the building and real estate dealings of the river property. And so there is a lot. And let's see, I missed Kavita's comment, so I'm going to scroll up now and try to find that. Okay, Kavita says, I'm not saying he should be a free man, but Jules, it's just conjecture all the things you are saying. If he's guilty, then prison should be his home. Yes, I'm bringing up the evidence, and then I am conjecturing about what the evidence means, but the evidence is there. And let's see. And Fluffy Bunny says that Barry won't have to work if he succeeds with his claim. And but yeah, even if he succeeds with his claim, his own testimony and stuff is going to be able to used to put him in prison for killing Suzanne, because there's a lot of other evidence in that case. And Kavita, also, if you look in the arrest affidavit, I see, and it's been pointed out in a group that has been working behind the scenes trying to help find the answers in this case and tip the investigators to these things that they may have missed, is that there are some communication devices in Barry's gun safe that are in police custody, and these things also may hold some very interesting information, and that they definitely should look at that as well. And thank you, Kit. She says, it's okay for you to voice your opinion, sis. And yeah, I have found my voice, and I am going to continue to use my voice, especially since a little run-in or disagreement or whatever with Iris. And I tried to complain about it and was told that she can say whatever she wants to say, but that I can say whatever I want to say as well because of freedom of speech. And so I am exercising my right to freedom of speech and speak my mind. And I do provide the evidence that, gives you what causes me to think what I think and have the opinions that I have. And let's see, George Davis's brother Sam and Rebecca Hauser built that house. Okay, so all this is all tied in to Barry and Barry's little merry band of peoples, and I can't wait until their house of cards falls down on them. The Davis Hauser construction. And Penny is asking, did I notice the stark difference in the Morphew girls' appearance and demeanor? It makes me worry about them even more. I think they're being controlled by Bear Bear. And yes, I believe that they are being controlled by Bear Bear. An abusive person does not stop being an abusive person. And Barry has always treated Suzanne and the girls as trophies, objects. He doesn't really see them as people. He doesn't think that their needs and their wants or anything are of any consequence. The only person that really matters as far as Barry is concerned is Barry. And, they are his possessions, and Barry likely controls the purse strings with the girls as well. And he probably, and he has basically raised them to be his property. He has treated them this way since they were born. And so they wouldn't know any different, and they would just listen to him. And especially since any time that he and Suzanne had any disagreements, he would haul them in and be pointing out to them that their mom is off her rocker and all this, and dad feels so bad. And Martin says Mallory said she was confused, and I bet she is. And yeah, I think so. And I think that the girls cling to their dad because that, for one thing, he's all that they have. He has made sure of that. He is basically, he's a classic abuser. He has isolated them from Suzanne's family. He has, separated them from anyone who isn't, on his list of approved people, I guess. And so that they do what he says. He probably funnels money through them as well, because they both have businesses that Barry probably controls. And no, Mallory isn't the daughter that said her parents argued all the time, then changed. Mallory is the one that's a little bit older and was living in her own place in Gunnison. She was going to college, so she wasn't living in the home. But of course, these problems between Barry and Suzanne began in Indiana, and just they just ended here in Colorado. Mallory would have seen the same pattern that Macy was seeing. Macy's the one that was still living at home. She was a minor at the time, and Macy saw that, and Macy shared her concerns with Miles, who was her boyfriend at the time, and Miles's family. And so there were a lot of people that were in on the information that the Morphew marriage was not a happy one. And as Martin says, Barry has tied up the money. The girls are pretty much under his control. And I just hope that all the truth gets out, that the answers are forthcoming as to where Suzanne is. I hope that Barry goes to prison, and then the girls can live their lives free of his toxicity. And my husband says, how much money do you think his lawyer got from Barry, and how much does he have left? And I don't know how much he has left, and I don't know how much money he had to begin with. I mean, I know that a lot of his money was Suzanne's, and that he played fancy and free with stuff that wasn't his. And let's see, Martin says, Macy even mentioned a restraining order. I'm sick. I had a conversation like that with my 16-year-old, is a quote that Suzanne said. And that is in the arrest affidavit. Suzanne did let her friend Sheila know that Macy was aware of all the problems in the marriage, and that she and Macy were talking about it, and that Macy suggested that her mom get a restraining order, and that Macy and Suzanne were going to get an apartment in Salida. And yeah. And my hubby says, like I said, he has to work, because Barry is spending money right and left. He's not very, yeah. And he says, how does he get those new trucks? And that's another thing, that I'm trying to look into. And yeah, Macy's the youngest one. And I'm trying to look into this accident that took place in Arizona that resulted in Barry getting a new truck, another new truck, and trying to figure out who was with him and what he was doing in Arizona, because Arizona also keeps popping up in this case. And that's another thing that I'm segueing off here, but that's another thing that makes me think that even though Barry told law enforcement that he didn't know about the affair, with Jeff Libler. I think that he did because, for one thing, they were discussing Arizona. He and law enforcement, because they mentioned that Suzanne had said that to her lover that Barry was talking Arizona or something, or thinking Arizona. And then Barry asked the law enforcement guys, is that where her lover's from? Is he from Arizona? And then they told him, no, he's from your home state, or he's from Indiana. I forgot how they said it. But then Barry said, he's from my hometown. They did not say that the guy was from his hometown. Barry said the guy was from his hometown, and Jeff Libler is from his hometown. And as hubby says, they have met. And Fluffy Bunny says, does Barry have connections to Arizona? And yes, he has connections to Arizona. Certain people that he's interested, certain people that he is tied to have ties to Arizona as well. I believe that Suzanne's car that he sold in Indiana had been purchased in Arizona. It was a used car. So, that explains some of the DNA information that everybody was so fixated on as well, is that they purchased the vehicle used. And also, Barry liked hunting in Arizona a lot, and like the time that he showed up at the house but didn't go straight in and was hiding around in the bushes and stuff, and he told law enforcement the reason why he was doing that was because he was dirty, because he had just driven back from Arizona where he'd been hunting, and he didn't want Suzanne and her friends to see him dirty. But he was sneaking around the house, and he made Suzanne and who was visiting her, which I'm not sure if it was Sheila or not. I'll have to look into the records again on that. But rather than driving up the driveway and walking in the house, he parked away from the house and was sneaking around the house, peeking in the windows, and made Suzanne nervous. So Suzanne called 911 to report an emergency, report this, and then she contacted and said, never mind, it was just my husband. And Barry's like, oh yeah, I just didn't want them to see me dirty and smelly. So and Fluffy Bunny is like, I thought he was after a squirrel, or did I hear wrong? And yeah, when they confronted him with the pings, which didn't make any sense anyway, it was just cellular drift and stuff, but they showed him, and so he said that he was chasing he was running after chipmunks or something. And let's see, Martin's pointing out that that one sergeant that I can't say his last name properly. So Sergeant H spoke with Macy on May 11th, 2020, and Macy admitted that her parents argued a lot and that she feared that they would separate or divorce. And she said that they were not doing well, and then it was for the best that they would separate. And Macy reported that Barry and Suzanne were both in an unsafe place emotionally. And yeah, and then this is the same girl that now says that her parents had no problems in their marriage. So yeah, something's up with that, and with there's manipulation, there's pressure, etc. But I would say that rather than her recent television interview, or what she said to police the day after her mom was reported missing, is more likely the scenario, the case, what actually was going on in that relationship. And I've been talking your ears off for an hour and a half, so I guess I'm going to get off of here now, but I'm going to go live again tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for being here. I love you. And Please leave your DNA on the like button.